Right now, without thinking about it, press your fingertip against the nearest smooth surface. Maybe your phone screen, a glass, or even this very desk. You just left something behind. A tiny, invisible mark that no other human being on this planet could have made. Not your twin brother, not your identical sister, not even someone who shares your exact DNA. And here's the strange part. Nobody programmed this into you. Nobody decided your fingerprints would look this way. So how did this happen? And why, out of 8 billion people alive today, does your fingerprint belong only to you? Humans have noticed fingerprints for a very long time. Ancient Babylonians pressed their thumbs into clay tablets to sign business deals. Chinese merchants in the 9th century used inked fingerprints on paper contracts. They did not fully understand why each person's print was different. They simply trusted that it was. It was not until the late 1800s that a British scientist named Francis Galton sat down and actually counted the ridge patterns in thousands of fingerprints. He calculated that the odds of 2 people sharing the same fingerprint were something like 1 in 64 billion. At that point, the world had fewer than 2 billion people living in it. The math was overwhelming. And from that moment, fingerprints became the gold standard of identity. But knowing that fingerprints are unique and understanding why they are unique are 2 very different things. Most people, if you ask them, will say something like, "It is just genetics. Your DNA makes your fingerprints." And that answer sounds reasonable. After all, DNA controls almost everything about your body, from your eye color to your height to the shape of your nose. But here's where the story gets genuinely surprising. Your DNA does not design your fingerprints, not directly. What your genes actually do is set up the general conditions inside the womb. Things like the thickness of your skin, the speed at which your skin cells grow, and the size of your fingertips. But the actual ridges, the specific swirls and loops and arches that make your fingerprint yours, those form through a process that is far more chaotic and unpredictable. Between the 6th and 24th week of pregnancy, your fingerprints are forming. During this time, the outer layer of your skin grows faster than the inner layer underneath it. Because the skin has nowhere to go, it starts to buckle and fold, creating ridges. This is similar to what happens when you press a loose piece of cloth against a flat surface. It wrinkles. It folds in ways you cannot predict or control. And this is the key point. The exact pattern of those folds depends on hundreds of tiny variables happening simultaneously inside the womb. The exact position of your finger at any given moment, the pressure from the surrounding fluid, the local temperature, the subtle differences in blood flow, the random timing of cell growth. Even identical twins who share the exact same DNA develop completely different fingerprints because they are 2 separate bodies floating in slightly different positions, experiencing slightly different pressures, growing at their own pace. The chaos is different for each of them. This means your fingerprints are not really a product of your genes alone. They are a product of your genes meeting the world, a collaboration between your biology and pure chance. So why do so many people still believe it is purely about DNA? Probably because DNA has become the explanation we reach for when we want to understand why people are different from each other. It is a powerful and accurate explanation for many things, but it is not the whole story here. And this misunderstanding actually matters in ways beyond trivia. When forensic scientists analyze fingerprints, they are not reading their genetic code. They are reading the frozen record of a chaotic physical process that happened before you were even born. That is a fundamentally different thing. It also means something quietly profound. Even if scientists could one day clone a human being perfectly, that clone would still have different fingerprints, because the womb environment cannot be perfectly copied. The chaos cannot be perfectly repeated. Your fingerprints are unique, not because nature stamped a special design onto you. They are unique because the process that created them was messy, sensitive, and impossibly complex.
A billion tiny moments, each one slightly different from anyone else's billion tiny moments. The real insight is this. Some things about you are written in your DNA, but some things about you came from the unpredictable randomness of simply growing. Your fingerprints are the proof of that, a permanent, physical record that even identical genes cannot copy. You are not unique because of a plan. You are unique because the world is too complicated to ever produce the same person twice. If that made you think about something you never considered before, go ahead and like this video. It helps more curious people find their way here. And if you know someone who thinks fingerprints are purely a DNA thing, share this with them. It is a good conversation to have. Subscribe if you want more stories like this, the hidden explanations behind things we see and touch every single day. Because the most fascinating things are usually the ones hiding in plain sight.